Alright, and welcome to this lesson where we're going to continue on developing the event page. So firstly what we're going to do is give this div element the ID of EPM, or what it stands for is event page main. And so now when we target that ID, we know we're targeting this div specifically. And inside of there, what I want to do is create a div element, and then inside of there we're going to have the image element, and this is going to be the event.png image, and the alt attribute can be the person's name, and then I can just end it like so. So what this is you have your header at the top here, you have the image, and then what we want is the header 1 that contains this information right here. So let's go ahead and put the header 1 in, and then below there we're going to have the small text, and that is this text right here that shows the date, and we can paste that in. So now that we've done that, the next thing below there we're going to have an image, and this one's going to be this large image right here that resembles the event. So that is the event underscore image.png file, and the alt can be the event name. Then after that, what we're going to do is, as I said before, we're going to put in a paragraph right here to describe this event. I think that's important. So what I'll do is I'll put the paragraph in there, and then I'll put some lorem ipsum inside of it, which is effectively just filler text. And so I'll put that in now, and below there we want the comments section. Now if you actually take a look at the notification page right here and take a look at that, you'll notice that we have the comments section down below. Now the comment section is slightly different only by the fact that you don't have a grey background right here with the event page. So really, there's no point in me styling this all over again. What I might as well do is actually just use that same styling. So what I can do is, first of all, I can go to the notifications.php file, and I can copy out the unordered list that contains our comment section. So I can copy that out and paste it below. Now what I want to do is save that and go over to the SCSS file. So with the SCSS file, now we can class these selectors right here, the comment selectors, as global styles. So I can simply cut that out and move them over into the import.scss file. And so what I'll do is I'll paste it just above the media query, and then we can save that now. And of course what you can do is then save out a new event page.scss file, and just go ahead and do that. And so now we can go ahead and refresh the browser, and we can start to style up, first of all, the main header div that's right at the top of the EPM section. So I'm just going to go down onto a new line. So I'm going to target the ID EPM, and then I'm going to target the div element that's nested inside of there. So this is the only div element that resides inside of the element with the ID of EPM. So that refers to that main header section at the top. So I don't have to be specific right here, as this is the only child div. And first of all, I want to tell it to float to the left. The reason being is because I want it to wrap around the child elements correctly, and also this image right here is going to float to the left as well. So again, to avoid that anomaly, we need to put a float on there so we get the correct wrapping. Then I'm going to set the width to 100%. Then I'm going to set the background color to the same background color of the Add Me button, which is the light brown color, and then also I'm going to change the font color to white, and just go ahead and save that and hit refresh, and there we go. Now what I want to do is style up the image element and tell it to float to the left so the content can go to the right of the image. So what I'm going to do is say EPM, then I'm going to target the div element, which is targeting the header, and then I'm going to target the image element, because don't forget this is an image right here and I don't want it to affect this image. And so now what I want to do is tell this to float to the left, and I also want a margin right of 20 pixels. So what that will do is make sure that the content doesn't touch the right edge of the image, just like so you have that nice 20 pixels on there. Now what I want to do is take a look at this header 1, bring the size down a little bit and style it up. So what I want to do is target the ID EPM and then target the header 1 element, because this is the only header 1 element inside of the element with the ID of EPM. So I don't have to worry about being specific again. And what I can do is set the font size to 20 pixels. I can also change the line height to 100% so it matches the character's height. And then also what I want to do is change the margin. And so what we want to do is set the margin top to 20 pixels and all the other margins to 0. So what that will do is it'll push it down from the top edge, but we don't want any margins around the other sides. And also we want to make sure that there's no default padding being applied to the header 1 element. So we're just going to save that and hit refresh. And now you can see that this looks a lot better. And the next thing that we can do is take a look at this small text and get that rendering correctly. So it's quite easy. All I have to do is again target the ID EPM and then target the small tag, because again that child is the only one of its type inside of that element. And then what I can do is set the line height to 200%. You could set a margin top right here, but I'm setting the line height because that will actually allow me to push the small text down. So I'm going to set that to 200%. And then also I'm going to set the font size to 12 pixels. That way I know exactly what size this text is going to be. And I can just hit refresh, and there we go. You may want to make this a little bit bigger, it's entirely up to you, but I'm going to leave it as 12 pixels because I think that looks really good. And now we can move on to the actual large image right here, because this is what's actually causing our scroll bar, because the image is not going to the actual size of our parent container, and of course that's squashing our side menu as well. So what I can do is I can target the ID EPM, and I only want to affect this image. I don't want to affect any images down here or this image and so on and so forth. I just want to affect this large image. So what I'm going to do is say, well, this image element must be a direct child of the element with the ID of EPM. That way I'm not going to affect any of the other images because they're not a direct child. And what I can do is simply set the width to 100% and the height to auto. That way it will adjust the height automatically to keep the aspect ratio, and that's very important, especially when it comes to images. And so now what I can do is save that, hit refresh, and now you'll notice we get no scroll bars. Our side menu has returned to its correct size, and we can just resize this now, and you can see the height is automatically adjusting. You may need to provide a larger image to stop it from blurring, but overall it looks really, really good. Also, you could set a max width on here and wrap this in a div, for example, or something like that, and have a background color surrounding it. It's entirely up to you. And then of course we have the paragraph element down here. So let's go ahead and get that styled up. So again, I'm going to target the ID EPM, and then I'm going to target the paragraph element. And again, we do have paragraph elements in the comments section, and I actually want them to share styles. So that's why I am just being very generic right here. And so first of all, I want to get rid of the margins on this paragraph. I also want to change the padding to 20 pixels on the top and 20 pixels for the right, 0 for the bottom, and 20 pixels for the left edge. And that way we can get nice even spacing. Also, I want the line height to be 150% so we get a nice space between the lines. I'm going to set the font size to 14 pixels. And then also I'm going to change the color, which is going to be text 3, and that's that nice gray text color. So I can save this now and we can hit refresh, and there it is. And now what I want to do is customize the comment section down here, because currently we've got too much spacing right here, and also we've got broken images and so forth. So let's go ahead and fix those images. So they're obviously targeting the wrong image, so we want to be targeting the event.png image, and the same for this one as well. So go ahead and save that and then just simply hit refresh, and there we go. Now we have our images in here, and we can take a look at styling up some specifics. Also, let's bring the text area down a little bit. Let's make that 3. That should do the trick. Okay, so now that I've done that, obviously I don't want that grey background on there, and a few other styles as well. So let's go back to the SCSS file. And what I want to do is target the ID EPM, and then I want to target the element inside of there that has the ID of comments. And then what I can do is set the margin top to 20 pixels instead of it being a larger number, so we get a nice even spacing. And then also I'm changing the background color to white, or you could change it to transparent if you wanted to, but I'm just going to change it to white. It's less characters. And there we go. So the next thing that I can do is just take a look at these paragraphs right here, because they seem to be spaced sort of incorrectly. I like to have a 15 pixel margin on here. So what I'm going to do is copy this out, and so we're looking inside of the comment section on that specific page, and then we're going to target all the paragraph elements that are inside of there, and I'm going to make the padding 15 pixels all the way around. And so that way, if we have a really long comment, there's going to be a padding on the bottom edge, and there's a little bit less padding so you can put more text in there. And so now that we've gone ahead and done that, the next thing I want to do is program up this button. So let's go over to the PHP file. And what I want to do is I actually want to put an ID onto this anchor right here, which is going to be add me, just like so. And what I want to do is when they click on it, we just want to add a little bit of HTML, which is this HTML, which is just going to be an anchor. Obviously, you will get the data dynamically from JSON or whatever it is, but just temporarily, I want to make this sort of functional. So if you were to hand it over to a development team, at least they know how it's going to work. And so what I want to do is open up the script.js file, and let's go ahead and start to collapse the code so that we don't have to worry about it. And I want to target the element with that ID, which is going to be add me, and then I'm going to say when it is clicked. So what we need to do is listen out for the click event, and then when that happens we want to run a function, and then we can start to execute commands. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to target this, which means this current element with the ID of add me. So right after this element, so I'm going to say dot after, I want to add in some HTML. And so that HTML is obviously another repeat of that anchor right there. And what you don't want is line breaks right here, because it will actually break this method. So what you want to do is you want to put it all onto one line, just like so. And then what we want to do is just very quickly change the name. I'll say Rose Walker, and then we can just save this and then hit refresh, and when it clicks add me, you'll see that Rose Walker gets added. And so now you can see how this is actually working. And so it's very simple. So that is the event page that has now been finished off. So please join me in the next lesson where we will take a look at developing the dashboard.